Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dawg podcast. I'm your host, Johnny FIORICA, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department after serving 30 years. I worked uniform patrol, undercover narcotics, street investigations. I was a hostage negotiator for over 20 years, closing out my career with the fine men and women of the ATF. That's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, where our main focus was violence and gun trafficking throughout these great United States. Sitting alongside me, as usual, my trusted co-host, 20-year veteran, legendary street cop, undercover cop, SWAT team member, homicide detective, David SIMPSON. Welcome to the pod, brother.
Happy to be here, Johnny.
David, keep it consistent with, we've been doing, this is like, our third episode on the 2024 election. I thought you had a great idea today. I wanted to address it. It's not going to be a long pod, but it's going to be a good pod. A&L Painting, your kitchen cabinet painting specialist. We also offer a full portfolio of interior painting, exterior painting, and staining. Matt and his crew at A&L Painting are professional and reliable. They're the only painters that the Crime Dawg staff and our law enforcement partners trust to work in our homes. Call A&L Painting today at 585-478-4623. That's 585-478-4623. I want to talk about pretty much what I would define as the second most important issue in the 2024 election. That is the border, illegal border crossing, sanctuary cities. You came up with a topic. I loved it. We got to say, hey, you know what? Enough is enough. So this is our third week in a row we're talking about the election, but I think today we have to talk about illegal immigration and the effects that it has, the adverse and negative effects that it has on municipalities and cities all over these great United States. So basically what ended up happening was Tom Homan, and I hate using the term border czar, but let's use it because Kamala Harris was the border czar and she didn't do. But Tom Homan is the new border czar. He's the former. Yeah, he definitely does. In 2017, Trump had appointed him as the acting Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director. That's ICE. So that is ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director. Tom Homan was the ICE director, acting ICE director in 2017. Trump had appointed him, and now he has reappointed him as the director. He is the new border czar. That was a great pick, David.
Yeah, that was very strong, and it's a guy that definitely has shown he knows the border as well as anyone, and he has no problem making unpopular decisions that some people don't like and standing by them based on the betterment of the country as a whole. He doesn't mind stepping on some people's sensitive feelings. I think he's going to do a fantastic job.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And he's gone on record, even as of late, like, hey, listen, if you're here illegally with your illegal family, we will deport all of you. Listen, feelings aside, if you're here illegally, that has such a trickle-down effect relative to communities, okay? And I understand people are sensitive to the facts that, oh, well, they're here illegally, they're just trying to get a better life, blah, blah, blah. Well, so are my grandparents, and I've said it numerous times, and so are my in-laws. Anybody listening to this podcast has an immigration story to tell because we're all a nation of immigrants. We come here somewhere, somehow, whether it was your parents, your great-grandparents, your grandparents, whomever, they came to this great country to get a better life. We get that part of it. However, what we don't get is the fact in 2024, the suck that is taking on the local economy and the suck that it takes from our social service systems. That being said, what I'm referring to is when you have many illegals in a municipality, in a community, what ends up happening, it drains its resources. It drains its resources from the school district to the social services aspect, to all the things that are used in some instances in a positive way, not always, but in some instances, trying to get people up and on their feet, not to be taken advantage of, David, by illegal immigrants who come here looking for a free ride off the backs of hardworking Americans.
Yeah, and the thing of it is that no one's saying that immigrants shouldn't be able to come to this country. There's 328 ports of entry in the United States. There's like 32 in Texas. Those are the entry points that if you want to come to this country, that you go, you declare that you want to come in, and you go through the process, the legal process to come to the United States. 328 of those. So it's not like there's 3. It's 328.
Mm-hmm.
If you avoid those places, you're committing a crime. You're avoiding the port of entry, and avoiding an inspection and avoiding the interview is a crime. It's US 1325, and you can be fined and imprisoned for up to 6 months in jail, and you then can be deported. So if people come in the right way and use the port of entries, that's the normal process. It's the same way if you go to a concert, there's entry points to a concert. You don't just jump the fence and not pay. You'd get arrested. Same thing. You want to come to the country, you go to port of entry, you come in. If you're sneaking into the country and you're illegally entering the country, you're breaking a crime the first time you step foot in the United States, and you are then falling on the United States government to basically take care of you and the municipalities in which you are going to be residing. Like you said, it's a drain on the municipalities, both socially and law enforcement. And, it's not fair to the legal immigrants that come here, as well as the citizens of the United States, to include our veterans who need to be taken care of.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, it's a drain on every kind of system that we have, our housing system, our hospitals, our schools, you name it, it's a drain on it. Since 1922, State Farm has been working hard to help better protect you and those you love. We've always taken a future-forward approach to developing or offering products and solutions to meet your ever-changing needs. That's truer today than ever before. At the Christopher Marmo Agency, we're in the business of helping. We will work with you to create your personal price plan to help select the best possible coverage on your auto, home, and life insurance. Bundle and save with State Farm. Call Christopher Marmo today at 585-247-1462. That's 585-247-1462. You know, David, one of the things that some of these liberal or left-leaning cities did, especially in Rochester, New York, where we're from, our great city, and that's in quotes, decided to become a sanctuary city. What a lot of people don't know, I don't believe, are when these sanctuary cities like Rochester, New York, had declared themselves as such, as a sanctuary city, what people don't understand is, and keeping full circle with ICE in Tom Homan's new position, when you come across, as law enforcement, when you come across illegal immigrants who are committing crimes, local law enforcement is not, that is NOT, not allowed to call ICE. So they're not allowed to call the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency because they are a sanctuary city. I'm not so sure people understand that.
Yeah, and I think you should maybe we can give an example. So if let's say we do a search warrant and we get an illegal with a kilo of cocaine and 2 handguns, we then can't call ICE upon his arrest to notify them that he's in custody and he's here illegally. There can be no communication. Am I correct about that?
You are correct.
Can be no communication. The jail can't call. We can't call. They have to find out through smoke signals or something that he's locked up and that he's committed these crimes. Otherwise, he gets let out. Let's say he makes bail. Let's say he gets, around here, gets released, and he's right back in the community when he should be detained and held for illegal entry. And because he's here illegally, he committed a crime already. And then he committed another crime by selling drugs and being in possession of a legal weapon. So that's what people need to understand is people are committing these crimes and they're not being detained and they're not being deported.
Yeah, that's a huge point. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that's a great example that you gave. When we come across individuals that have committed crimes, regardless of how we did it, whether it's a search warrant or whether it's stealing bubblegum from Rite Aid, and you find out that they're illegal, we are not allowed to call ICE. We're not allowed to call the immigration people. We're not allowed to call Tom Homan's people. And that's disgusting. And that's part of being a sanctuary city. And when we live in these municipalities, looking at that map, David, the map was all red. It looked like someone got a gallon of red Glidden paint and threw it on the map of the United States because literally Trump won everywhere. People are disgusted. This is one of the policies in the Biden-Harris administration that people were thoroughly disgusted with, which is why you see the map finalizing to the point where it's all red. I mean, there was pockets of small counties. We all know the coastal states like California and New York are genius woke citizens in these states They're so population dense. Of course, they're going to go blue. Of course, they're going to vote for Kamala. Okay. However, when you dig deep, like Bill Hemmer has on multiple broadcasts, and you go into these states, you'll see that a lot of these counties voted for Trump because they were sick of it. They were sick of what was going on. We had mentioned when you were taking care of my main man Asher coaching his hockey team last week, and I talked on our Crime Dawg live show on iHeartRadio last week. I had talked about how the smugness, the disgusting smugness of people like Rachel Maddow from MSNBC, where after the midterm, she actually had said, "Oh yeah, Virginia, the one of the main concerns was the border." Oh yeah, I don't know how close of a border Virginia has. And they laughed. It's disgusting. Okay, they have concerns because the government was flying people in on these, whatever they called them, these parole visas and all these other BS bullshit stuff that they were doing. And people were coming over from the border, and then they were just traveling to different parts of the country. But just because you weren't a border state or a border city or a border county, they had grave concerns. People in Virginia, the outpolls after the elections in 2022, the midterms, I mean, people were disgusted by it. They were disgusted by it. You see the trickle-down effect, like we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, the trickle-down effect that this has on American society. I look forward to Tom Homan enforcing the laws that we have on the books, send them back to square one. You want to come into our country as a contributing citizen, do it that way. Okay? Don't come over the border and think that you're going to go, I just want to work. I want to work. No, you come in, we document, we know exactly who you are. And David, if you remember, I know I'm jumping all over the place because I know we're both passionate about it, but remember in the beginning of all these border crossings, that guy that was in Texas, all the fake IDs that these people had coming over the border, and they not only came from Spanish-speaking countries, they were coming from all over the place, China and the Eastern Bloc, all over the world they were coming. They were not utilizing our immigration system the way it should be utilized, not abused. Whether you're a runner, want to be a runner, a walker, or someone who stands all day, Fleet Feet is your fitting experts in running and walking. For footwear, accessories, apparel, and even training programs for beginners, advanced runners, or walkers. Alongside their sister company, Yellow Jacket Racing, Fleet Feet offers an array of family-friendly events from 5K to half marathons to kids races on trails or roads. Fleet Feet is your premier running and walking specialty store with 2 locations in Rochester and 1 in Buffalo. Check them out. FleetFeet.com. That's FleetFeet.com.
We mentioned the drug aspect, the crimes to include are, rape, domestic violence, things of that nature that they can't, that ICE can't be notified about. So these communities, it's not just like quote unquote victimless crimes. These are crimes where there's true victims who are U.S. citizens that they still are not being detained and deported over. And then secondly, you better damn well know that our enemies are utilizing our weak borders to disrupt our country. And a Trojan horse, I would almost be willing to bet a large sum of money, has already been placed in the United States. And a terrorist attack, as terrible as that is probably likely to happen in the next couple of years because of this. There's no way you've got millions of people in this country from all of these foreign countries, some of which are our enemies, and they're not going to come here and do harm. That's absurd. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about Mexico, their current president. I think she just got elected like last year. She had like 22 or 23. Look it up on the Googles with an S or the internets with an S. And I'll tell you what, look it up. She had like 22 or 23 opponents. They all got shot and killed. And she was like the last person standing. You can't say last man standing anymore because you don't want to offend anybody. But she was the last person standing. And now she's there. So you think that she doesn't work for the cartels? Sadly,
I wonder why she's the only one standing.
Exactly. It was like duck hunt. It was like whack-a-mole. She was the only one to get whacked.
Right.
Anyways, David, those are some great takes, brother. I appreciate you doing this podcast. Thank you for giving us some great content today. We hope you like us. You hope you enjoyed this episode. Click the like and subscribe button. You can check us out on our website, thecrimedogpodcast.com. If you can't get enough of us, you can listen to us on our weekly radio show every Saturday afternoon. Me and David talk live. It's called the Crime Dawg Live Show on iHeartMedia. Wham 1180 if you're from Rochester, New York. Yes, it's the live show for a reason. We take live unscreened calls every week. We talk about everything. So listen, folks, thank you for listening to the Crime Dawg Podcast. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. But like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi, says, if you can't make it, who cares?